Hello, everybody, and welcome to this space. This is a fairly new platform. I'm not sure what I will be doing with this channel yet, if I will be using both audio and visual elements. It's not that I'm not experienced in that department, it's just that right now, where I am mentally, I'm not able to focus on the coordination of my speech as well as visual elements. Therefore, the creation of this channel, which will be discussing everything from mental health, personal feelings, maneuvering through society, theological topics, philosophical subjects, and anything that's a little bit deeper. A disclaimer ahead of schedule, I'm not an expert in any of those departments, but there are areas that I reflect upon a lot and that are at the core of my existence, which makes it very difficult for me to reach out to people, to make new friends, and to maintain long-term relationships, because it just seems when you start going into deeper subjects such as the purpose of our existence, religion, a higher presence of intelligence and wisdom that is responsible for everything created in this world, otherwise known as God, societal rights and wrongs. People look at you as if you're a weirdo, and a lot of the times when you meet new individuals who are initially excited to get to know you, they ghost you once you start making reference to any of the things I mention. I completely understand that many people are weighed down by the responsibilities of everyday existence and the problems in the world, so they may want to escape them rather than discuss them. But the funny thing is, even those people who initially show interest in you and then backpedal once you start talking more profound matters, they discuss openly on social media politics anyway. So I don't understand how they are attempting to escape confrontation. Perhaps they just hope to meet people who are like-minded and believe in similar ideologies. For example, I recently met a person, I actually had met this individual quite a few years ago, but we kind of reconnected. Not that we hung out to begin with, we just used to bump into each other socially. And recently I saw him out again. He offered me a lift home and invited me to catch up. I can see that on his social media he's constantly posting things about current events. He shares religious posts and he's very conservative in his viewpoints. I like to promote the liberty of every living soul on this planet, regardless of background, creed, religious beliefs, ethnicity, age, gender, species, any criteria that we use to categorize individuals. Or rather, identify is a better word, because categorizing someone is actually stereotyping them, and I don't feel very comfortable at all with that concept. That being said, I also have my shortcomings, and I'm a product of my genetic code as well as my environment. That means society has conditioned me to a certain degree, even though I do have certain freedoms of rationale. My perceptions are not the ultimate measurement of things in the world and how the universe functions, but it is the code that I live by. I'm always open to new possibilities, new knowledge, and furthering my understanding. That means at any given time, I'm open to changing my beliefs and the way that I view the world around me, but not if it means somebody's introducing thoughts to me that involve the oppression of someone else or the harming of another living being. Then I will retaliate vehemently. This doesn't interpret into me not having any judgments or biases, because we all absolutely do have our own judgment, and that's the way of us surviving through the world. We've got our defense mechanisms, so we're constantly scoping everything around us and judging what is safe, what isn't, what is right and what's not. Also, from the moment that we're born, we start imprinting memories and rationalizations, processing of happenings around us on the film of our brain, and that shapes us into who we are later on. Society passes its ideas onto us. Our parents, peers, friends, teachers also pass certain ideas onto us, and that shapes us and conditions us into the people we become and the people we evolve into every day. Some of us go through life being more narrow-minded and opposing any change. We are closed to new ideas depending on our mental state. Any mental health disorders we may have, either that have been passed on to us genetically or that we develop due to life events. Many of us are narrow-minded and non-caring individuals. Some humans have apathy, NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, sociopathy, or psychopathy, which translates into them not caring at all for other living beings. Their rationale doesn't process anything with compassion, and therefore they tend to have different measures, different standards than the rest of us who are empathetic. These people are very judgmental of empaths and those who process information around them with emotion. If we feel sorry and sadness for the predicament of another soul, they consider that a weakness. What I'm struggling to understand is why it is so difficult to meet a person who is kind, who cares for every living soul around them, and who is interested in the purpose of our existence, gets involved in deeper thoughts. I'm not saying that when I meet people and they start chatting to me, I immediately jump into subjects of existential crisis. As I get talking to someone after the first time we get together and go for a coffee, so on and so forth, I will start talking about deeper levels, deeper thoughts. And I don't mean about pretentious or complicated psychological or philosophical matters. I use simple language, yet I scratch beneath the surface. I in no way claim or believe in any superiority of myself over others. I simply probe into areas of societal problems that need addressing. I discuss and question the human condition. That in itself becomes problematic in the way people view me and receive me. I'm not going to stop promoting and advocating what I believe is fair, no matter the social repercussions and the effects that it may have in my personal life. So I guess I'm still going to continue running into problems when I meet people who are extremely conservative and dead set in their ways. The really challenging and puzzling part is when you meet people who are supposedly not extremely conservative, but rather question a lot of things that go on around us and seem to be reaching out for what is right, for justice. And they too place a judgment on you the moment they hear you probe into deeper matters. I'm not quite sure. Recently, this guy who lives not very far from me and whom I've known for quite some time because he used to come into my work before, recently, the moment we met in the street and we started talking, he quickly crossed the road and maneuvered through dangerous traffic, urging me to follow him. And when I didn't, because I said it was quite dangerous, he quickly crossed the road and disappeared, never to be seen again until today. So what I'm saying is my courtesy, my social interaction would have meant that I would have waited for the other person, and if I was in a rush, I would have said to them, I really must fly because I've got something important to do, or I just wouldn't have abandoned them like that, somebody who I know to that degree, and just not explain myself. Where is the etiquette? Where is the manners? And again, I think it comes back down, it reflects on these people projecting themselves a certain way, like that they're open-minded, that they are very with the times and wanting to do what's right. But the minute you open your mouth and delve into something more meaningful, something more spiritual, something more balanced and fair, they start viewing you as a freak. And I'm so sick and tired of being viewed this way by people who might not have a deeper interest in the meaning of their existence, why they're here, what they're doing, and how they're maneuvering through life. I'm going to start wrapping it up here. I don't want to exhaust you. Initially, I thought about using a narrator to speak out my ideas for me because I don't like my voice. I don't like my accent. I don't like the fact that because I'm bilingual, I don't have a very good, well-defined clarity of speech in the English language. And I just don't like the way that it sounds, period. But I've noticed that viewers and listeners look at artificially provided voices by narrators that you might pay to carry out your work for you, but are artificially developed with disdain. It's so weird because it's not as if the content isn't being created by a person. How would it be? How would it spring up otherwise on YouTube? I'm not quite sure how these things work. Maybe I'm not as advanced into technology as others are, so there are areas of lack in my understanding. But I don't see what the problem is if they're using a very well defined, clear speech for the better understanding and enjoyment and for the soothing listening of a receiver. Professionally provided voices are not very well received. So I thought I will stick to my more personalized, more individual voice, I guess, hoping that it will appeal to people more so and that it will come across as genuine as it is intended, because I am facing a huge problem, not only of withdrawal and isolation, but of loneliness, because no matter how many people I meet, I know everybody is going to have their own flaws. Nobody is perfect. I am very flawed myself. But there are some very major and important issues that I just can't back down on. And if you're a person who doesn't provide care or etiquette for the other individual, if you don't listen well, if you're not interested in something that's more meaningful, like the way we approach others and whether we are kind and open-minded toward them or not, if you can't have these basics as your guiding points, then I'm sorry, I'm not sure if you are the right person for me to be with. And this guy who crossed the road and disappeared the other day, he himself said to me, well, you don't need people who are like that, who are judgmental, who are shallow. And nevertheless, he has come across as being shallow himself, despite very intensely trying to communicate to the world that he is somebody with a little bit more substance. I've got a lot to share and discuss with you. Hopefully you will tune in to my next episode where I talk about narcissism and the effects that narcissistic relationships can have on your psychology, how abusive and destructive they are. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. It is the most precious commodity we have because it is the only thing that can't be replenished and that we run out of, that we're born with a very limited source of. So thank you once again. Take care of yourself. And please remember, if you're an emotional, deep thinker, there is nothing wrong with you. Caring is the most beautiful thing in the world. Don't let anybody in the world tell you otherwise. It is not an impediment, it is a credit. I wonder if you too struggle to connect with others, to meet genuine people, and if you are perceived as a freak for your profoundness.